Good evening, everyone. Today I am with Auntie Joy Kapu, and my name is Thabang Mahlale, and I'll be asking her questions about how her leadership has been. So, Auntie Joy, what does leadership mean to you?
Wow, such a good question. Firstly, I must say you're looking good.
Thank you.
It goes very nice with my decor. I just love how
thank
you express your personality. And hello to everyone watching this. She's leadership, one of my favorite topics. I do work around leadership, expanding consciousness, which is awareness on how we show up. So for me, leadership, I see it as an integral part of who we are, as human beings. So sometimes people tend to overthink it that it's only something that happens when you're leading at the workplace. But we lead our lives on a daily basis. It's about leading self. For me, it starts with yourself. That how do you lead yourself, which is more what we call personal mastery, because it goes hand in hand, with emotional intelligence, how you're able to show up, as a person. But it doesn't end there because we don't exist in a vacuum. We exist with other people. So it's also about leading others. Then how do you help others to also lead themselves and be the best version of themselves? But again, it doesn't end there, right? Because um, we are a collective, right? So you find people then in organizations, that space where you need to also lead a business organization. You can also lead a nation if we take it to that extent, like politics. So people leading communities. So it's in different dimensions, leadership. That's why I'm saying that is an integral part, of who we are. And also within that context, I want to acknowledge, sometimes you tend to think, like I've said, people who are only working. Sometimes you find people who are homemakers. They don't wake up every morning to go to work. They're leading a home. So I believe that, everyone leads. But what's more important is how do we show up when leading? That's leadership for me.
And what inspired you to be a leader?
Geez, what inspired me to be a leader? There has been this question for years that are people born leaders, or is it a skill set, that you learn over the years? And, I say it can be both, right? But of course, it needs to be enhanced. For me, from a young age, given my personality, I just knew that I'm a leader. I mean, even over the years, it started showing when I started studying and working, and because I love working with the people. So what inspired me to lead is because the heart of the work I do is centered in humanity. I love seeing people thrive. I love people prosper. I like seeing people being joyful. So that is the reason why I lead, so that people can be the best version of themselves.
And what is your role as a leader in your community?
Geez, multiple hats. Let's talk about my business, right? Joy Capital Consulting. I'm the founder. I'm the principal consultant. So I'm in the forefront of that. But again, in future, I see myself bringing other people, like as an associate, to build a brand. So what I do, or in my business, is that I facilitate programs. I design from scratch, programs, and facilitate, to organizations, to help them to shift their cultures. Sometimes we find that organizations' cultures can be toxic, and people not liking, not wanting to be there. So how then do we help organizations to create a safe space where people can show up without fear, not driven by fear, but by the love of doing the work? I also do coaching. I coach different people. I do executive coaching. So my work is more transformational in that context. And I also do I speak. Do speaking engagements as well. And yeah, I've got programs like your leadership development, your emotional intelligence, strategic kind of programs. So yeah, that's what I do.
And what is your role as a leader? Wait,
I think we've answered
yeah.
that, yes.
And what changes would you like to see in the community?
Sure. Mindful about using language. So I'm holding an intention, which is something like more of a deliberate act, where I would like to see in my community heightening more. You see, I'm pausing because I want it to come out right. That as much as we all want to fulfill our basic needs, we all need money, right, to survive. And I also would love to see people in my community, apart from just making money, but also to be intentional about really creating a transformation that is more sustainable. That we're not just doing this work for the sake of doing this work. It really needs to be sustainable. We need to embed it. We need to make sure that people embody this kind of work. And because I believe that when we show up like that and putting other people's interests really at heart, that also helps us, to prosper and the world to be a better place. So that's what I would like to see shifting in my community. That there's more to doing this work than just money.
And what challenges are you facing?
I think for me, I will speak within the context, which is shifting, but then there's still, sometimes as a black woman, let me go to myself as a black woman, I find that you still get organizations, when you give them, let's say, a certain rate, that I charge this fee, they tend to question that rate, or they tend to, then they will drop you, they rather go to someone else. And the support for small businesses like myself and black women as in particular, and because for me the rate also goes with the quality of work that one is doing, because I know that for me excellence is one of my values. So those are some of the challenges when people can know that there's value for money, and because I believe that sometimes when you ask people for discounts, actually it's an insult to the kind of work that they're doing. So I would like to see people really showing up, and when you give them a certain rate, they don't have to question, especially being a black woman, that why in this day and age sometimes we still need to prove ourselves. Yeah.
And how are you dealing with those challenges?
Well, for me, I'm intentional, and I use the word a lot on how I attract my clients' business. I always say that I would rather have few clients that our values are in alignment, and then they know my work. They understand why maybe I charge a certain rate, and so I deal with those challenges by sitting down and explaining, the kind of work that I do, the value that they're gonna get out of that. But again, excuse me, those people that sometimes you have a conversation with them, they still don't get it. For me, sometimes I say, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, rather than work. If someone doesn't value work, then I always say that there's enough for all of us here on earth to shine, to prosper under the earth. That's why sometimes people find it difficult to understand when I tell them that I don't really believe in competition, because we are all here to fulfill different life purposes. And why should I be in competition and think that so and so heavy a consulting company might take my work? What is meant for me will come to me, right? So I believe that certain people who don't get the rates, that one charge and all that, maybe they're meant for someone else and not for me. So I'd rather stick, to the people that will respect that. So yeah, that's what I do. So it's all about sharing as well.
And what advice would you give to the youth of the community?
Yeah, to the youth, the community, I hear young people these days, and I empathize, right? I'm compassionate because I think I can put my younger self in their shoes. That usually when they look up to people who inspire them, obviously, we all want to live a good life. But then I hear the youth mainly they focus more on material things, right? Because we need to start having conversations that you're here, for a reason. It's not about just buying a mansion. It's not about just buying a G-Wagon, or Lamborghini and all that stuff. Yes, those things are nice to have, but there's a bigger purpose, and I believe that firstly, I believe it's our responsibilities as those who've been there to start teaching the young ones that it's not just about that. It's about identifying from a young age why are you here on earth, and you can start at any age. I started when I was actually in high school. I came across a book called A Purpose-Driven Life. It's written by a pastor who inaugurated Obama into office, Rick Warren. It's an old book called Purpose-Driven Life. I read that many years ago, and I've always been a curious child asking myself that, why am I here on earth? Why did God create me, right? So that helped me, to start realizing that, yes, I love the finer things in life. I love traveling, I love a beautiful home, I love good food, right? And all that, the whole shebang. But again, that also helped me to realize that I'm here for a purpose and I need to fulfill that. And the rest will come. It's not the other way around, that I'm just waiting to get those things. Yeah.
And it has come to the end of the interview, but one question that comes from me, what message would you give to people?
Sure. The message that I would love to give to the people is that life is full spectrum. Life is the yin and the yang, right? Sometimes, especially the youth, the young ones, they think that they want things to go smooth. We're not gonna grow, we're not gonna evolve when we do that. So I believe that, you should start preparing your mind from a young age to know that as much as there is joy, there's laughter, there's also moments where you're gonna cry, where you're gonna feel angry, where you're gonna feel hurt, and they're there for a reason. So remember when you started the interview, I said to you that leadership is also about leading self. So when you lead self is personal mastery. When the moment of hurt, of anger, of disappointment comes in, how do you deal with it so that it doesn't break you? And I always say that at some point you're gonna fail. I've been there many times. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. The most important thing is how do you bounce back when you experience those challenges. Yeah. When GPS, you say, hey, I am going to this destination, he decides to reroute. He takes you somewhere else. How do you, the courage to show up and in the midst of failure, against all odds, still continue? That is part of life. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you. Yeah, this lovely short interview.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed how you asked me the questions. Beautiful. Yeah, and I love the setup, just relaxed and thank you.